All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA regular season video. In this video, we're going to talk about two games from the last 2 days, some other ones that weren't as interesting, but also in this video, we are going to talk about the MVP race that is heating up in the NBA, maybe some of the other awards as well. So if you like what I say, like the video. If you have your opinions, comment down below. And if you like the vibes, consider subscribing. So I want to get into this MVP conversation because this MVP year has really snuck up on me. And I think it snuck up on a lot of people because one of the 65 game rule that everybody always forgets about, and I don't blame you if you forget about it. If you don't know, the NBA made a rule in 2023-2024 that all players have to participate in at least 65 regular season games out of the 82 to be eligible for all NBA teams, um, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Player of the Year, MVP, all that stuff. So this restricts the list a little bit when it comes to some players that otherwise would be eligible to be MVP. And that leaves the door open for some what would be considered at the beginning of the season more dark horse candidates to possibly be an MVP winner this year and is in the top three right now. And one of them is on your screen, bottom right, Cade Cunningham. He's become the topic of a lot of conversation because he's put together a really solid season on the best team in the East, might be the best team in the NBA by the end of the season. And he's in the top three. Every resource that I've pulled up, I have Basketball Reference up, I have Fox Sports up, I have FanDuel, I have DraftKings, I have sports books, I have just non-sports books. Every resource that I have that I could find that is reliable has Cade Cunningham at least in the top three. The other two candidates, Nikola Jokic, who is on the cusp, um, he can only miss one more game before he's ineligible for MVP, so he's riding that line a little bit. The other one, the reigning MVP, Shai Alexander, has missed the past 9 games. He's going to return whenever the Thunder's next game is, so I don't think he's near that threshold quite yet. He's played a fair bit more games than Nikola has and has missed far less than he has. But if Shea goes down again for an extended period of time, he might miss out as well. And that would leave, by default, Cade Cunningham. Now, I want to talk about Cade specifically for majority of this conversation, but I do want to bring up some other names here that um, are interesting. There are some from again, I have various different resources up, sports books, just regular websites and stuff like Fox Sports, and of course, old reliable basketball reference that I like to go to every now and then and see what they have cooking up because they just go by the numbers. They just go by numbers. It's not by like betting odds or anything. It's just the numbers, stats. I mean. So first off, let's go. Let's do basketball reference first. So these are the long shot candidates. We'll put it that way, right? Um, this is off basketball reference. Alperen Şengün, Kevin Durant, Jamal Murray, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Duren. Those are the long shots. Um, for Alperen Şengün and Kevin Durant, they're on the same team. I don't feel like they've put together enough of a complete season or a dominant season to even be considered for this award. I feel like there's been a lot of struggle throughout the seasons for the Rockets, throughout this season for the Rockets. And I don't and this is something that I said when I was talking about the WNBA MVP last year, is that to me, and this is not what I purely go off of, but you have to feel like an MVP to me. You also you have to play like one, but you have to feel like one. You know, you have there has to be an exuberance of dominance from you. And some of these players don't exude that kind of stuff. Now, some of these players have had really good seasons and have stepped up and have impressed me. Most notably, next on that list, Jamal Murray has been the Jamal Murray I've wanted him to be for the past like 3, 4 years. After he came back from his, I believe it was an ACL, MCL injury, he had a knee injury in 2020, and he missed 2021. Came back 2022, wasn't the best. 2023 wasn't the greatest. Had a terrible Olympic run in 24, and now this year in 25, or the beginning of this season in 25, coming into this second half of the season in 2026, has really come out and showed what he can do without Nikola Jokic, which has been not been the case for the last couple years because Nikola Jokic hasn't missed a lot of games. Nikola Jokic missed again a fair bit of games, so Jamal Murray was able to step up a little bit. And surprisingly, I wouldn't have expected him to be on an MVP list, but going by the numbers, like Basketball Reference does, um, I'm not surprised at all. Actually, Tyrese Maxey, bit of a weird Sixers season, not really. Eh, not. I don't feel it with it. Jalen Durham, incredible season, first time All Star, really stepped up. I'm looking for him to step up even more next year, but this year is a great jumping off point for Jalen Durham. I don't think he'll ever be in real MVP conversations, but just to see him on this list and the numbers he's putting up, the stats he's putting up this year, just to slightly maybe even be in this conversation is incredible for him. And then we get to some of the other players that are in the top five, but maybe maybe aren't too dominant yet. Or like I don't know how to say this. So the two players are Victor Wembanyama and Luka Doncic. Um, Vic, I feel Vic Vic is my defensive player of the year, just for the record. So I'm not to say he's not dominant is not what I'm trying to say, but I feel like it's not his turn yet, you know. And in the NBA, it feels like, especially over the course of the last couple years, you not that you have to wait for it to be your turn, but your time will come. You know, like Shea had to wait a little bit before he got his MVP, even though he put up a couple good seasons previous to his to his eventual MVP season. Um, those MVPs went to big men before him, Nikola Jokic, um, Giannis, and Joel Embiid previously, and then Shea officially arrived at some point. You know, I feel like Wemby is on that trajectory where he is going to arrive at some point in the next year and a half, 2 years, where he will just be he'll be considered for MVP and Defensive Player of the Year every year from for the next like 10 years. You know what I mean? And then Luca, it's been a horrendous season for the Lakers. Even as a Luca fan, I couldn't justify voting for Luca with the season the Lakers have had. And that being said, with MVP, I think it's different than some of the other awards that we do, where I think your team does need to be at least viable. Be at least look at and be like, okay, they're competitive. They're in the top five of not the top five, the top three of their conference. You know, or at least they're near there. Um, you're competitive. You put on a show every night. You make your teammates better. All the stuff that most valuable would um, include. Just in the words, most valuable. You need to be the most valuable to your team and the most valuable in the NBA. Luca does check a lot of those boxes, but the team has just been awful. It's been awful, 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 awful. And Luca's always in these conversations before the season of, oh, he could win his MVP, first MVP, this, that. And then the season just doesn't go his way. He doesn't play enough games. The team is bad. He puts up great numbers, but the team just is awful. I'm starting to believe it will never be his turn. It will never be his time because we have to see what the Lakers do this offseason. But Luka's going to have to deal with fighting for this MVP in the Western Conference for a long time against Jokic, against Shea, against Victor Wembanyama, against some of the people that are ascending. Another player here that we'll get to in a minute. Um, just he might have missed his time. He might have missed his window. And as a Luka Doncic fan, that makes me very sad because I at some points he has had MVP potential, and he's just kind of messed it up because he hasn't played enough, or the teams hasn't been good enough, or maybe at some point he might have feel it was stolen from him when he had a really good season. I don't know. Maybe his time has passed, and maybe he will just be an All NBA All Star kind of guy, and he'll never reach that peak of MVP Luca that we all hoped we could see. Now, circling back to the guys who are in the top three, who at the end of the season, these three guys are probably going to be on the graphic that the NBA posts on Twitter and Instagram. That's like the top three candidates for MVP in the final weeks of the NBA. You know, the graphic they always post. Who do I want to win out of these top three? Again, Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cade Cunningham. I I would like to see Cade win it. I I would. seeing what Cade has done over the last, especially last year and this year, taking the Pistons to a different level. And I'm not sure the Pistons are going to make a deep playoff run, but Cade is the engine that makes that team go. And there have been games without Cade, without Jalen Duren, that this Pistons team has won. But you get deeper into the playoffs, you need a guy like Cade. And I feel like an MVP for Cade would mean a lot. But I also think it might justify the Pistons not going out there and getting him another star. Because I some of the numbers with the Pistons, Cade has the ball a little too much. He has to work too hard for his shots sometimes. He does get his other teammates involved, but that's at the it's at the dismay of his own offense sometimes where he takes a while to get going. I've watched games where he hasn't scored basically the whole first quarter. And then the second quarter comes around and he's like, okay, guess it's my turn now. And he starts doing it. He starts revving up, and he gets to the fourth quarter. He has like 30 points or 40 points. But I I I want Cade to win it. At this point in the season, I want Cade to win it. Not just because he's the hot name. Because earlier in the season, I didn't think this Piston team would be this good. I thought maybe they would be bad because they lost a lot of their depth. And Cade has made this team go up another level. Jalen Duren has made this team go up another level. Um, the guys around the edges have made this team go up another level. But this team wouldn't be where it is without Cade. So I think Cade would get. If I had a vote, I would vote for Cade for sure. And then Shai, eh, this season doesn't feel like last season for Shea. And again, it's boring thing. It's not the bo- it's the boring thing to say, but Shea doesn't feel like the MVP this year. Now Nikola Jokic, at the same token, is like half in, half out. Like he hasn't played a lot of games. His team has been really good without him, which sometimes can work against you if you're trying to go for the MVP. But when he's out there, he's still doing his thing. Even though he's probably not 100%, he's still doing his thing. He's still putting up crazy numbers, and you just can't deny that. Um, so yeah, my vote would be for Cade. To go through some other candidates here, some maybe dark horse ones or ones that I don't see people talking about a lot. This is for this is from Fox Sports. I guess what MVP odds and favorites. Um, some different names here, some different ones that we haven't talked about yet. Some ones that I'm seeing. Jalen Brunson. Same thing. Kevin Durant and Jalen Brunson are sort of in the same boat where like their team has been sort of like in like disarray, and it's like I don't know if I can give you the MVP just because like you're playing well on a team that's supposed to be good but is just playing bad right now. I can't really do that. Another one that I haven't seen people talk about, Donovan Mitchell, perhaps. I like Donovan. I've liked Donovan's career arc as a whole. Just going from this young, explosive guard to in Utah to getting to Cleveland to putting up big numbers to him taking sort of a back seat, but knowing he still is the guy, he is the number one option on this team, to now having a chance to play with James Harden and still be the guy, and take a sort of another different role, another path in his career, um, has been very impressive. But uh, I don't know. The Cavs have been such a mixed bag this year, and if I just go off visually, like watching Donovan Mitchell without seeing the stats, I would say he's had a really explosive and impressive year. But comparing him to like Cade, Shea, Nikola Jokic, I don't know if he's there yet. And if this might be the closest he gets to just vaguely being in the conversation, something like that. Um, Another one that I would probably pick as my dark horse. It probably won't happen, but if I had to pick a dark horse, Anthony Edwards is on this list for Fox Sports. Um, I like that one. Ant has. I've always been not critical of Ant, but I've always been interested in Ant's career because I feel like at some point in his career he's gonna have the James Harden arc where he goes from shooting guard to point guard and he learns to control a team and he learns to make decisions for other people. He learns how to control the pace of a game at the point guard position. I feel like that's where his true talent lies, where you could unlock him even more. But this season he's been really good, man. Last season he shot the ball at an incredible rate behind the 3 point line. This year it's not as incredible, but he's still scoring. He's still putting up 40-point games. He's every year that he's been in this league, he's transformed not his game, but he's transformed his mindset a little bit. Um, he's had a familiar group around him for the last like 2 3 years. He knows what he needs to do. He knows some nights it's not going to be his night. He knows other nights I just have to shoot this thing or we're going to lose this game anyway. um, this is one I would put a pin in. The same with Victor Wembanyama. The same with maybe Luka Doncic. Is like maybe it's not your time yet, but I'm watching and you have my attention. And he's had my attention for a long time now. Um, moving on to some of the sports books here. Um, hold on, one of them refreshed. I seem to have lost one of the tabs I had open. Well, guess we'll just do this one then. This one is from FanDuel, the sports book, the sports betting app that we all. I'm not gonna say. I was gonna say we all know and love, but I'm not sure I can say that. Gamble responsibly. That's all I'll say. Um, they have the same, very similar MVP ladder here, but one that hasn't really come up that I think people, the same people, or different people that say Cade Cunningham can be the MVP. The other one is Jalen Brown. Now, I have been on the record saying I thought Jalen Brown couldn't lead this Boston Celtics team this year. I ate my words at All Star break. I ate him before All Star break. He has proved me wrong in every corner, every turn, every cul-de-sac, every street that he's been on. He's proved me wrong, and I think he's had a phenomenal season leading this Boston Celtics team, and he has them in prime position to at least make some sort of run in the playoffs. Will that be with his teammate Jason Tatum coming back from injury? Will it be without? We'll find out soon. Um, is he MVP material? Yes. Will he win it? Probably not. Will is this his only chance to win it? I believe so. Unless he goes to another team later in his career. If he's a Boston Celtic for life, I don't see him getting this close ever again. And for him to be this close, and what year is it for Jalen Brown? It has to be year like 8 or 9 now, right? Has has to be year 8 or 9. Hold on. Yeah, 9. Year 9 from yeah, year 8 or 9. Yep. Um, to be 9 years in and this is your first MVP buzz because of an unfortunate situation that happened in the playoffs where you're missing your co-star and where everybody thought he couldn't lead a team, including myself. This is brilliant for Jalen Brown. So congrats to him. If he even gets in the top three towards the end of the season, I'll be super impressed. So yeah. If I had to make my MVP like top three, if Shea and Nikola Jokic aren't eligible because of the 65 game rule, I would say Jalen Brown, Cade, and probably Victor. It'd probably be Victor Wembanyama at that point. Yeah, yeah, but probably those three players. Yeah, that would be my top three right now. Yeah, if Nicola and Shea do become ineligible, that'd be my top three. Um, quickly while I have this up, we'll look at Defensive Player of the Year and a couple other awards. Very briefly, I will do this at some point before the actual awards happen, just to get a so you guys get a video about how what I think about these awards because I don't really talk about the awards during the season because I think it's sort of asinine to speculate because like if I would have said Shea's gonna be the MVP, it would have been a boring take. If I would have said somebody else is gonna be the MVP and I was wrong, it's a bad take. So it's there's no point in it. Um, Defensive Player of the Year for 2025-2026. Leading the race, the usual suspects: Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert, and Chet Holmgren. A new foe has appeared. I my thing about Defensive Player of the Year is I'm very how do you say this? I'm tough on Defensive Player of the Year because I don't think rebounds should count towards Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think we need rebounding to be a huge part of it. I think you need to be able to be a versatile defender on the perimeter in the paint. I think you need to be able to have a high IQ. I think you need to be able to move. This is a stipulation. If you've won it multiple times and you get exposed in the playoffs, you should not be eligible to win it again because we know your defense isn't that important. If it was that important, you'd be able to win in the playoffs. You know what I mean? I'm specifically talking about one Rudy Gobert, who I despise in that regard, where he probably shouldn't have four MVPs. He probably shouldn't, but he does. So what am I gonna do? Chet, in a similar vein, I I think it's a matter of circumstance. Sometimes Chet does some really amazing defensive things, and other times he just gets guys funneled to the basket, and he's just 6 foot or 7 foot like two, and he just stands there with his arms up, and it's like, okay, duh, yeah, you're gonna block the shot. Like, come on. Um, some other players here that are interesting. Both Thompson twins are here, Asor and Ahmed. I don't think they're gonna win it. An interesting one, Scotty Barnes. I like that one a lot. Um, I think Defensive Player of the Year is essentially locked up by Victor Wembanyama for the next like at least 8 years. Nobody else is going to win it unless he misses games or he just doesn't have a good season defensively. He's more focused offensively. In that regard, he'll probably be MVP instead of Defensive Player of the Year. But I like Scotty Barnes. I think Scotty Barnes should be higher. Scotty's played a lot of games. He's been very important to the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors don't get enough credit for how good they are. Now people are starting to recognize how good they are, but I spotted it very early on preseason. I spotted it very early on this season. I said this team is going to be good. They're going to be good. How good? I don't know, but they're very good right now. Rookie of the Year is another one where everybody was like, it's Cooper Flag's award to lose, and he's effectively losing it because the Dallas Mavericks suck. Now, I don't think record should be a factor in Rookie of the Year, but I think if you're bad and you're not playing and you're trying to tank, I don't think you should win the award. Now that's not Cooper's fault that they're trying to tank, but if he's healthy, he should be playing. I don't think he's healthy right now. I think he has like a foot or ankle thing right now. But come on, you should want to win this award. You should want to play. No offense, you can't let Con Knipple win this, man. You can't let this guy win it. Like the number two at Duke that you went to the same school with is kicking your butt in the first year of your pro career. That couldn't be me. I would never let that happen. If I was Cooper Flag, but I'm going to play and I'm going to win this award. You can't let and Khan just broke the record for most threes as a rookie, which is impressive. But still, I'd be like, yo, nah. I was the number one pick. Let me win this thing. I'm gonna go win this thing. Most improved. This is an interesting list. Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duren, Akil Alexander Walker, Ryan Holland, Keontae George. Um, man, I would say this. Jalen Johnson at the beginning of the year probably had my vote. I probably had said that on this channel at some point. But man, Jalen Duren has just kept the train going. He's just kept it moving. And I think, again, if I had to vote, I'd probably vote for Jalen Duren out of Detroit. And maybe if I had to pick a dark horse, Ryan Rollins. That's who I vote for. I really like Ryan Rollins. I'm so sad I don't get to talk about the Bucks enough anymore because the Bucks kind of suck. But Ryan Rollins has been impressive nonetheless. And then Sixth Man of the Year, Nas Reed, Keldon Johnson, Jaime Jaquez, Reed Shepard, AJ. Oh, why is AJ Mitchell? Bro, AJ Mitchell should definitely be Sixth Player of the Year. Why? I get maybe he's playing too many starter minutes now because everybody's out. Um, I, no lie, I'd vote for for AJ Mitchell at this point. Otherwise, if I had to pick like a more realistic one, I'd pick Keldon Johnson for sure. Keldon Johnson has gone from being the prize star or borderline star for the Spurs before they got Wemby to now accepting his role with Wemby, with Castle, with Fox, and just being a sixth player and being really good at it. So, congrats to him for just being in this conversation. We want to talk about Clutch Player of the Year. Coach of the Year. This is an interesting one. This will be the last one because there's a yeah. And these get into like other stuff. Yeah. So let's do Coach of the Year. JB Bickerstaff. Eh, Joe Mazzulla. Oh, JB Bickerstaff of the Pistons. Joe Mazzulla of the Celtics. And then Mitch Johnson of the Spurs. Charles Lee of the Hornets. If the Hornets keep doing their thing, I'd give it to Charles Lee for real. I'd give it to Charles. Um, Joe Mazzulla is an interesting one. JB Bickerstaff as a case, of course, he's at the top of this list. Uh, I I'd vote for I'd vote for Joe Mazzulla because I think what Joe Mazzulla has more to do with the coaching. No disrespect to JB Bickerstaff, but I feel like the record that the Pistons have is because not because of the coaching, and we've talked about some of the coaching errors that JB Bickerstaff has made. Um, is more because of the players. What Joe Mazzulla does is purely coaching, I think, because you just got a ragtag group of leftover Celtics players from last year, and some rookies and some sophomore players and some players that have been given up on, you know. Um, so for me personally, it would be between Joe Mazzulla and Charles Lee, yeah, and maybe Jordan Ott of the Suns if the Suns keep trending upwards. Yeah, and Darko Rajakovic is here. That's a good one too. Damn. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's the MVP and the awards. Now to briefly talk about these games, because I did not think I would talk about um, MVP for that long, but I said I wanted to, and here we are. So let's still do it. All right, so yeah, let's talk about these games very quickly. The first one I want to talk about is Oklahoma versus Detroit. Detroit got the win 124 to the Oklahoma City's 116. This was not the Oklahoma City Thunder. We all know this was the leftovers. This was everybody was out except Lou Dort in the starting lineup. So the Oklahoma City Thunder ran out. Is this Kason Wallace in Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, and this was this is one of those games. You're like, oh, this is an easy win for the Pistons, and I'll give the Thunder credit because I try to give them credit where credit is due. This was a championship level bench that got thrown out there to say, hey, you're going to start this game, go out there and hoop, win, lose, draw. We're going to go out there and play hard. Jalen Williams, Jayln Williams, had 30 points, 5 of 10 from three. Very impressive, especially against a very tough Pistons front court and center lineup that they had out there. Whoever Jalen Williams was going against, he was out there hooping. Kason Wallace, who's my favorite Oklahoma City Thunder. 23 points, 3 of 6 from 3, 5 assists, 1 steal. Really good stuff. Aaron Wiggins, 20 points, 6 6 of 16 from field goal, 2 of 7 from 3. Not his best efficiency, but he was out there putting the ball in the basket when he could. Losing Dort, 3 points, and then Isaiah Joe, 3 points as well. They just didn't have the power to power? Not the power. What is it? No, they had the will to win. What am I trying to say? They had they didn't have the. I don't know why. How would I say? Why didn't they win this game? You know what? They just ran out of time. That's what it was. They just ran out of time. Even off the bench for them, they had Kenrich Williams 13, had Jared McCain, newly minted Thunder, number 3 on your screen on your right side of the screen. Um, Everybody played well. They just ran out of time, and they ran up against a team that was way healthier, and that was it. Some stuff I'm 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 growing more and more frustrated with the Thunder is the kind of defense they play, and like it gets called tough and like gritty and like all this stuff, but I think at some point it's just dirty. It's just like not enjoyable to watch, and I like watching this Thunder team sans like people that like jump at people's legs or like get into people's landing area. Like this Thunder team is amazing to watch without the big three. This is a really good watch. Whenever you see them roll out this like the leftovers, they play well. They play hard. It's fun to watch. But then like you see them do something stupid on the defensive end, and like somebody almost gets hurt on the opposite player's team. And you're like, what the hell are you guys doing? Just play defense. Like you don't need to do this stuff. And it becomes very annoying. Um, for the Pistons, a really um, easy in quotations game for them. Tough win, but easy game in the sense of they just did everything they normally do, um, just with a bit more of pressure against them, which the Oklahoma City bring every time they go out there. The Oklahoma City Thunder bring every time they go out there. And the Detroit Pistons are one of those teams that can match it. And they did. And Cade Cunningham, 29 points, 3 5 from 3, 13 assists, 4 rebounds, 8 turnovers. Cade had a lot of turnovers this game. Jalen Duren, 29 points, 15 rebounds, standard stuff for him. Duncan Robinson, 16 points. I am so impressed with Duncan Robinson. I know it's something like nobody cares about, but I am so impressed with Duncan Robinson reviving his career, especially in a Pistons jersey when like he's been put under a lot of pressure to step up and like they've missed Malik Beasley a majority of this season, and now Duncan Robinson has sort of come into that role where he's just doing a little bit of everything. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 16 points, great stuff. Tobias Harris, 4 points. Osoy Thompson, 11 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Cade also had 3 steals and 2 blocks. Cade might be the most similar to Dwayne Wade in being a guard defender that blocks the ball a lot. What Cade does reminds me of Dwayne Wade a lot on the defensive end, which is high praise for Cade Cunningham. And then off the bench, the Pistons got a little bit from everybody. Paul Reed 8, Ron Holland 8, Karis LeVert 9, um, and they slowly work their way through this game. A game I don't think they expected to have to work so hard for, but they did. This is a game. If you win, you're like, we're not happy with this win. We should have blown them out, but we'll take the win. We'll build up our win streak, our win total. And if you lost this game, it would have been like we lost to the Thunder without nobody. So it's a good thing they won this game. Props to them. Next game I want to go over really quickly. Boston Celtics versus Denver Nuggets. The Boston Celtics just didn't have it. It was one of those nights that I think everybody who knew basketball and knows basketball was planning on at the beginning of the season, where like the Celtics are going to shoot a bunch of threes, and some nights it's going to go in, it's going to look incredible, and then other nights it's going to look god awful. And that was one of the nights was it was just god awful. It was just ugly. It was an ugly night for the Celtics, and the Denver Nuggets got the win, 103 to the Boston Celtics 84. And then the last game we're really going to talk about in depth here is the Houston Rockets versus the Orlando Magic. The Houston Rockets won this game 113 to the Orlando Magic's 108. One of the more competitive losses for the Magic. And again, I feel like I say this a lot. I'm deeply disturbed by the Rockets and their inability to, or their ability to almost lose games and then like in the last couple minutes, like, okay, now we really need to play. The stuff coming out of Houston isn't great. They really need to start stacking up these wins here. They need to be healthy. They need to stay healthy actually, and to be a withering Orlando Magic team, it shouldn't take a Kevin Durant 40-point game. It just shouldn't. You at this point of the season, you're better than that. Coach Ime Udoka was very visibly frustrated this whole game with this team, with his Rockets team. Um, could be frustrated with Kevin Durant though. 40 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 of 10 from three. Not a great 3-point shooting night. Went to the line 10 times, made all 10 of them, and everybody else just sort of decided not to show up, except somebody who I've been very hard on all season, and he's finally starting to turn it around and has some good streaks in him. Reed Shepard, 20 points, 5 of 7 from three, saved them this game when the wall started to close in on Houston. Reed Shepard hit a three. I was like, let's slow down, slow down, Magic. I got this. I'm gonna win the Rockets this game. You guys aren't gonna win this game. 20 points, 5 of 7 from three, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 rebounds, an all around great game for Reed Shepard. I want to see this version of Reed Shepard more. Um, and the rest of the Rockets team kind of disappointing. Tari Eason 2 points, Ahmed 9. Ahmed was getting left out there at the 3 point line a whole lot, as he has been doing as what's been happening to him the last handful of weeks. Even before All Star break, Dwayne Finney-Smith 3 points, Clint Capella 4, Josh Okogie 6. Josh Okogie had some good defensive time, but the offense just wasn't there for him, and they struggled to get this win. And I'm I'm still really concerned. There's going to be a video at some point that I have to make where I just have to come out and say I don't know if this Rockets team is finals material. And I think I've made the hints at that, and I've made some segments about it in other videos. But this Rockets team is it went from one of my favorites to worried about. And same thing with the Magic. Magic were one of my favorites in the East for this year, and it went from to oh boy. Um, for the Orlando Magic, um, starting lineup: Desmond Bain, Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter. I feel like I have never seen this lineup start, but I like it a lot for the offense, for the defense. There is a lack of playmaking. What did they? How many assists did they have as a team? They had 25 to the Rockets 24. So they did play make a bit more, at least in the totals, in the assist totals. Um, for the Orlando Magic last night, um, 30 points for Desmond Bain, 6 of 10 from 3, 16 for Wendell Carter, 19 for Paolo Banchero, 8 for Anthony Black to now have a great night. Even though when I saw him starting, I was like, he could have a really good night. He just didn't have a good night. It was just a bad night for him. 2 of 6 from 3, 3 of 12 from field goal. Terrible. Javon Carter, 14 points. They got him off. What did they trade for him, or did they get him off the uh the waivers? They might have got him off the waivers, I think. But he came in, gave him some good minutes, 4 of 9 from three. Hit a couple really good threes. Um, yeah, I really don't know what to say about this game. I really don't. It was just one of those games where it was competitive, and the better team won at the end. The Rockets were slightly well. Let me say it this way: the Rockets weren't the worst team last night. They weren't the worst team last night, and that's not a high bar because both these teams are struggling. And they showed the graphic at the beginning of this game where it was like Rockets are fourth in the West or whatever, and the 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 Orlando Magic are seventh, and it's like this should be an easy game for the Rockets. And then the Orlando Magic decided to come and play, and the Rockets almost lost this game. And Desmond Bain definitely helped the Orlando Magic. And then you got a little bit from Javon Carter, and you want a little bit more from Paolo because like they don't. The Rockets don't really have anybody to guard Paolo outside of like Jabari Smith, and then maybe like Tari Eason, and then like Dorian Finney-Smith is a shell of himself, and then like you would expect a bigger game from Paolo. But it was not Paulo who tried to match Kevin Durant in points. It was Desmond Bain. So yeah, that's it for those games. Another game, just quickly here at the end. Um, I had this Rockets Orlando Magic game on. It was on Amazon Prime, or Prime, whatever, the Prime TV or whatever the hell they call it. And this I wasn't gonna watch this Clippers Minnesota game because like, oh, this is gonna be an easy win for Minnesota, right? And I kept it on anyway because I was like, oh, why not? Let's just keep it on in the background, right? I had it muted the whole time, and I was like, I'll turn it off when the Timberwolves start to pull away. And then the first quarter went by, they didn't pull away. Second quarter went by, they didn't pull it away. Third quarter, I was like, okay, I guess I'm not turning this off. I guess I'm watching this now. And this Clippers team gave the Minnesota Timberwolves a hell of a game. A hell of a the whole game they were on them. The whole game. There was nobody playing in this Clippers game for the Clippers. It was Nicholas Batum, Derek Jones Jr., Brooke Lopez, Chris Dunn, and Benedict Mathurin, and then a bunch of like second year players, third year players, and Bogdan Bogdanovic off the bench. And you're like, you're watching. If I'm watching this game as a Timberwolves fan, I'm like, what the hell? We have a fully healthy team. Um, Ant has to drop 31 points, hit a crazy three at the end of the game to win the game. Jaden McDaniels has to jump out of bounds and secure a bad shot in the last like minute of this game to secure the game and get another chance for his team. And you're like, why the hell do we have to do all that against this against this Clippers team? And I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. The Clippers just were like, we're not going away. We're gonna keep fighting, and they kept fighting. So props to the Clippers. Great game for Anthony Edwards. Not percentage wise, but just visually, this was like one of those games where you watch Anthony Edwards and you're like, this is one of the best guards in the NBA. And it's becoming very apparent that he might be the best two guard in this league right now, which is crazy. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. No videos this weekend, so I get a little break. You guys, there's a bunch of basketball this weekend, so you guys will definitely get a video on Monday talking about all the games from today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We got hoops all weekend, so you guys will get a video on Monday. Um, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out. I'll put a playlist in a corner, the top right corner. Um, oh, actually, I won't. This is gonna be the first video with an end screen. Um, yeah, I'm gonna. There's the outro. There it is. It's gonna be stuff on the screen you can click. There's gonna be a video. There's gonna be a playlist. Subscribe, all that stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.